So let's look and appreciate the finer details of our structure and composition of the creation of man, and let's look at each part of the body individually. As we look at the head, as for the anatomy and structure of the head, observe our placement of the head. It's different to all other creations. Allah SWT has placed it on the top for mankind, whereas for other creatures it is generally hanging down. And in it He has placed 5 perceptions and senses and tools for seeing and hearing and smell and touch and taste and even the aql. And subhanallah, how He has placed the eye, the sight, the basar right at the forefront, like a guard, like a navigator of everything around it, placed perfectly for navigation and for guarding. And look at the eyes. He's placed 7 tabaqat, layers in the eye, so to speak. And each layer has its defined role, such that if even one layer shifts from its place, the eye won't be able to see. Just look at the physics of our eye anatomy with its weightless layers and lenses, and compare this to the heavy weight of the lens of glasses that we wear, and reflect on how the lens of the eye sees the east and the west and what's in between them too. And through this slit of the eye, which is perhaps just an inch, you see things panoramically. And Allah has made the status of the eye like that of a king, and the layers and the eyelids serve it as guards and protect it. And see how beautiful the eyes are in their color and their shape and their form and their size. And they are further beautified by having these eyelids, which also protect the eye from the heat and the dust and harm. And because of these eyelids, one can shut out the light like curtains, so that one can sleep and rest and rejuvenate. And at the edges of the eyelids grow fine eyelashes as azimat and beautification, adornment and zenith, and yet so beneficial. Then Allah incorporated in the eyes nur, light and vision that pierces the darkness, and it can print the picture of the scenery of the clouds and skies it sees, and has the potential to process millions of images in a lifetime. And Allah made the eyes of the watery salt, so that it protects it, a water salty, so that it protects it and keeps it moist. As through osmosis we know that the salty differential will keep the eye moist and limit the amount of water that leaves the eye surface to the atmosphere. As with dry eyes there is pain, and one can't even blink without this lubrication. And so Allah is Baq, the one free of any errors or faults or mistakes or miscalculations. He created this body, and He is perfect in His Zat and in His creating of creations. And each eye of all the people in the universe is unique, such that it can be a form of human identification. And these prominent and beautiful eyes are beneficial and so well placed, and they display and portray what the inner heart feels. So pray, Allahumma afini fi badani, Allahumma afini fi sam'i, Allahumma afini fi basari, la ilaha illa anta. O Allah, grant me well-being in my body. O Allah, grant me well-being in my hearing. O Allah, grant me well-being in my sight. There is none worthy of worship but You. And this is in Sunan Abi Dawud. And what about the ears? And Allah SWT cut out and cleaved the ears for listening, a great creation, and made them hollow like an oyster, so that noise gathers there, and so that it is then handed over to the eardrum, such the slightest of noise can be heard in the ear where it is contained and resonates in that cavity, and is then carried to the eardrum. The cavity prevents the noise and air rushing into the eardrum directly, and acts as a barrier to stop the severeness, the shiddat of the sound waves and air carrying it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the water, the liquid of the ear, extremely bitter, so that no small insect enters it, and if it does, it hurries back out, as this could be its access to the brain too. Whereas in comparison, Allah made the mouth water, halwan, sweet, so that it can perceive the different flavors of the things that it tastes. Had the taste of the water of the mouth been any other way, it would have been overpowered, and overpowered the taste of the food that was coming into it. And what about the nose? And as for the nose, Allah fixed the pipe, the tube of the nose, perfectly in the face, and made it a beautiful structure, and opened it with 2 nostrils, and He put a barrier between them both, and gave it the perception of smell of that which is beneficial, and to identify that which is harmful, and lets it inhale air which goes to the lungs, and hence provides the oxygen to the heart to feel refreshed. And Allah made the nose straight and as an outlet of the waist, being thin at the top and wider at the bottom, at the lower end, where it gathers the waste material so it can be removed with ease to clear the nose from the wider end of the nostrils. Some have said that the thinness of the nose at the top may aid in ensuring that the air inhaled, breathed in, reaches the heart and lungs at a fixed, monitored, measured slowly. Then Allah detached the two nostrils with a barrier. This is hikmah and rahmah, His wisdom and a mercy from Him, as this is the passage the air goes through this slope of the head. One area to let air go in, whilst one side collects and gathers the waste and removes the dirt, so that both don't fill up with dirt at the same time and are open for breathing. And hence there is Allah's wisdom that certain features are in pairs: the eyes, the ears, the nostrils. And as for a very important feature, the mouth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed for His servant his mouth in the perfect and appropriate place. Neither it is too far above the chin, nor is it on the side of the face. And in it He incorporated multiple benefits as well as tools for tasting, grinding, chewing and cutting, and for kalam, speech. And insan, mankind, is the only species for which its tongue is used for kalam, for speech. How beautiful and how honoring, and thus the tongue is the interpreter of the king of all limbs, the heart. Just like Allah created the ears and the eyes to bring input into the heart with sound and images, the tongue acts as the postman of the heart, that delivers from it what the heart has received from the eyes and ears and even the nose perhaps. So the tongue is like the hose pipe from a well, and that well is the heart. See the hikmah, the wisdom of Allah, how He places the eyes and nose and ears externally, zahir at all times, but the tongue is kept inside, as it conveys that which comes from the inside, from the heart. It acts as the minister of the heart. The nobility of the tongue is in fact because it conveys from the king of all organs, the heart. And hence scholars reflect so beautifully that this noble minister is thus protected with two canopies of protection, the teeth and the lips. Yet despite its two coverings, the tongue is the most uncontrolled. Yet it being contained inside ensures it stays moist, as outside it would become dry, and its moistness is essential, as this organ needs to stay intensely wet in all of its four corners to be able to function. And had it been outside, it would have been subjected to the heat from outside, which would hinder its movement if it became dry. And what about the teeth? Let's talk about the teeth in our next clip.